A very good morning, good evening, good afternoon, wherever you are. Tuned into the hotspot on this Sunday. How has church been? If you have gone to church, if you haven't, it is still okay. The man above still loves you. If you do believe in him, if you don't, it's all right as well. You're still loved by whoever you care about. But one thing in common that we all love should be Manchester United. Now, today, I've just been, of course, following an interview, a beautiful exclusive interview from one of the greatest players to ever play for Manchester United. At least players I've watched myself fully. Paul Scholes rates up there when it comes to midfielders, and he's been trending lately in recent days. Of course, I think his birthday was just a few days ago, but of course, I mean, when you talk about a legend like that, it just arouses memories. And I've been seeing a lot of videos of him and his goals and his moments playing for United, and people trying to rate him. The Pep Guardiola is rating Paul Scholes highly among the best midfielders of our generations to come from England. The greats we knew, the likes of Javi, the likes of Zinedine Zidane, all these great players have really eulogized Paul Scholes as a very brilliant midfielder, and you love to see it, you love to listen to it. But I've watched a nice exclusive interview with him, and I wanted to bring your attention to some of the things he did mention, some of which I have really spoken about here, and it makes me feel happy seeing that the views I have of certain situations at United are shared with a great like Paul Scholes. And of course, the new things that again he also highlighted that perhaps we may not have paid attention to. So that's what I'm here to dissect for you. But how have you been? Are you okay? Have you subscribed? If you haven't, what's stopping you guys? Just clicking. You people do not love to subscribe, but why not just subscribe and let's grow together? Let it be a win-win for all of us. But anyhow, so the key thing that Paul Scholes, I think for me, highlighted, the most important thing that he said that I sort of agree with, that I said here before, is that Manchester United will finish among the top four. Now, this is according to Scholes, that Manchester United will be able to finish among the top four. They will push for top four. Now, I agree entirely, and I've said this before, that judging by how I'm seeing other teams performing, how the season is going for all the other clubs, Manchester City, who are doing well, don't get me twisted, they are leading the table deservedly. But in terms of performance on the pitch, I feel like Manchester City are not anywhere close to the Man City we've been seeing in the past years. So that's why I feel the team that does not really scare, they are not so way far ahead of the rest. Then Arsenal, the same thing. Spurs, look at the teams above United who are sixth now on the pile. And I feel if we improve, even if, regardless how slow our improvement is, we can settle somewhere above, way above some of these teams. So that's why I've always felt we can actually finish better than the third position we finished last season. Not win it, but we can still finish second. We can still finish third. At the very worst, we will finish fourth. That's what I think. I think it is still in our hands. It's early days. We've been exposed way early that we have enough time to come and put ourselves right. And I agree. Of course, a few things have got to change if that's going to happen. We've got to improve. Now, he spoke about the areas that United has got to work on. And before even I get to that, he first of all had his full backing of the manager. We cannot go on, sacking managers in their second or third season every day, every season, every time. We cannot keep doing that. We've got to identify the right man to stick with and stick with them and believe in what they're doing and support them entirely. And Scholes feels that Eric Ten Hag is the right manager for Manchester United to back completely. He credits him for his ruthlessness. I spoke about that before, that if you're going to succeed at United, you've got to be ruthless to some point. I love to hear Paul Scholes say it. I love to see it. He also went on and spoke about what he showed us last season, how it gives you an idea of how good a manager he can be, but also knowing what he wants. He knows what he wants, and he demands for it from players, and it is good. You want a manager who knows what he wants. To be honest, I don't think David Moyes, for example, knew exactly what he wanted for United when he took over from Sir Alex Ferguson. I'm being honest, and no disrespect to David Moyes. I shouldn't even be mentioning his name, but he was there, so he will always be a part of our story. So he was the chosen one. So clearly, Ten Hag knows what he wants. Is he getting it from the players? Perhaps not. Maybe the players don't have the profiles to deliver that. But that doesn't take away the fact that he's a good manager who knows what he wants and how to get what he wants out of the players. So for me, that's a huge plus for him. And again, Paul Scholes did mention that. He also spoke about the players and positions. Of course, Marcus Rashford, talking about how Rashford, he feels, it's a dip in confidence like it is for everyone else and form, but he will come along over time and he will be able to play good football and still has got some goals in his feet and all. I think Scholes will obviously back Marcus Rashford. I personally disagree with that. I think, yes, whereas it is true that if he stayed longer, obviously Marcus Rashford would get better. I don't think he will get close to what he was last season, but I also don't think uh, we need to keep him around until it works. Because, of course, you might say, and like he said, all other players, you can struggle to identify one single player who is doing good at United. And you don't have to scapegoat Marcus Rashford because the whole project is not working. But I personally feel that Marcus Rashford is not, because he's a big player at United. And now we've got a Rasmus Højlund, who for us looks like the big player we need. He's our Wayne Rooney. And if you got Rashford there, and he doesn't seem to be so excited about, feeding Rashford, he's still in his head, he has got to go for goal, cut in and go try to go for goal. You think the earlier you clear that as a manager, the better, because then United, Ten Hag will get to a situation where he has got to make a decision. Who is he sacrificing? Is he going to hope on Marcus Rashford to score goals the way he did last season? Or is he going to get players who are going to make Rasmus Højlund as effective as he can as a striker? Because again, even Paul Scholes put it clearly, like I keep saying it, Rasmus Højlund is let down by the people around him, but he is such a brilliant, exciting young striker. His movements, his power, his physique, his ball, his positioning, his awareness, everything is stick. So if you're a manager, do you keep Marcus Rashford around and try to divide the attention, in terms of him and Rasmus Højlund, who is the main guy, or do you sacrifice one? And if you do sacrifice one, would you sacrifice in this case if you are the one? So for me, that's perhaps my point of disparity with him. I think Rashford, yes, nothing against him, but I think we need to sell Rashford at the next available opportunity, and we focus on bringing in players who will improve Rasmus Højlund, or who will enable Rasmus Højlund give us the maximum goals he can. Because I do think put Højlund in a team that feeds him like Man City, he will score 40 goals a season. That's how good I think he is. Then he spoke about Sancho, of course, the Sancho situation, and how, again, like I said, I've already said it here. For me, I did not see a problem with what Eric Ten Hag did, going out in the press and saying, you know, he did not perform enough in training. That's why he was dropped. That is Sancho. And Sancho coming back in the media and responding that way was wrong. The only thing, though, is maybe the reaction from the manager would look like overreacting if you think about it to many. But again, if you think about it again clearly, you feel that's what you need. I mean, these kids of today have got to learn to respect managers. You don't think any player during the times of Sir Alex Ferguson would do that. Ferguson says you did not give your best in training to the press, and that's why he dropped you. And then you respond on social media and then refuse to apologize. He wouldn't let that happen. So maybe that old school way of management is needed a bit to manage this generation Z kids and all. They are not easy kids to manage, but it's difficult, of course, also for a manager to strike a balance. If you're a Ten Hag who is a bit old school, and the generation today, how do you strike that balance? You're managing a player who is earning £350,000 per week, way more than yourself. So it's a tight situation, but I can't sit here and crucify Eric Ten Hag for how he dealt with it. Maybe if it were me my character, I would deal with it different. I would perhaps call this boy on the side and talk sense into him, and maybe not publicize his failure to apologize. Or if he's good enough anyway, I would maybe give him a second chance. But also Sancho's performances on the pitch, I think the few times he has been given the opportunity by Ten Hag, have not really also helped matters in any way. That he's not a player. He's not a player you'd put your hand, there for and say, guys, I mean, he made a mistake, forgive him, he should be playing. He's not that kind of player. He's not a Mason Greenwood that he did something grave, but perhaps three-quarters of United supporters were still backing him, and up to now are hoping he returns. So you feel there's that division in there, a division in opinion. And for me, whatever happens with Sancho, if he stays, I will be okay with it. If he leaves, it's okay. But most likely he's going to leave in Jan, because there are talks of Juventus wanting him. They've been inquiring about him. They want to take him on loan. United want a permanent deal. They want him away permanently. So that's the confusion. But Paul Scholes feels the biggest thing that Scholes has highlighted for me is the midfield, the lack of balance in that midfield, and I keep saying it that United, Eric Ten Hag wants to play with so many bodies going up front, with so many attacking players, which is good. But you see, in the Premier League, and I've been saying that, you make our midfield has become a highway of sorts that even the smaller teams have the confidence to boss the midfield. Now, Premier League games are won in the midfield. That is why teams spend 100. Arsenal will spend more than 100 million, a record fee, on a Declan Rice. Chelsea will spend more than a record fee on a Moises Caicedo. You saw N'Golo Kante. Those solid players in the middle are so important in the midfield because of how physical it is, but also the directness that the midfield comes with, because directness mostly is orchestrated through the middle. So you think that Ten Hag's approach of playing one holding midfielder at times now, if you don't have Casemiro there, if Casemiro is there, it looks decent. It tries to work. But now you've got a Scott McTominay, who is a good, technically good player, but his body, like Scholes also put it, his body, his skill is not good enough. Now you're putting Scott McTominay to be the one holding midfielder, playing with so many attacking players. He's exposed. The midfield is exposed. So that's the problem. We've got to strike a balance in that middle, and that's why I keep insisting we need Kobe Maino fit, and we need to trust him. I don't know when we will trust him. I hope it's soon. He's young, I know, but with the players we've got, Amrabat failing to do what we expected of him, or perhaps needing more time to fit in. I'm not sure he will get all the time because he's a lone player. Casemiro unfit. I think if Kawhi Maino is even 90-80% fit, he should be thrown in that deep end to come in and try and manage that role. He needs to learn on the pitch. We don't have the luxury of slowly introducing him. Try him on the pitch. We are at that stage where we need to put players out there, throw them in the deep end, and help them to survive, not to drown. For me, that's what I think. So Scholes put it clearly. Our midfield is our biggest undoing, but also the lack of partnerships up front. He related to the partnerships that all the great Sir Alex Ferguson squads had. You had a Wayne Rooney, who at times would be able to partner with a Ruud van Nistelrooy. You had a Rooney and a Van Persie. You had a Van Nistelrooy, a Dwight York partnering with Andy Cole. You remember how United, would attack with two strikers, yet one of them would always drop off as a number 10. But also he highlighted something important that I keep saying, that Bruno is as good as not being there when he's not played as a number 10. Bruno has got to be playing closer to the striker, to Rasmus Højlund. Putting him on the right or dropping him deep as a number 8 at times, for me, doesn't work at all. He's being wasted. He then ends up just doing a lot of nothing, running all over the place, a busybody, that is not effective. If you want goals, you want to have Bruno close to the number 9, also closer to goal as much as he can, because he can shoot, because he can risk and try out things. He can try out a shot that can be deflected, and you are well sure Rasmus Højlund will be there in place in the right position and in the right time to pick up the deflection, if any. So those are a few things that the clarity, the organization that Eric Ten Hag has got to do. Sort the middle, but also work on the partnerships. And for me, most importantly, let go of bodies that are not giving you enough. That's one thing that Scholes did not mention. For me, that's what I think. But should we hope and believe that we can finish in the top 4? I think we can, but that will depend a lot on how we manage the next games that are coming, because we've got a Newcastle in there at home, away at their home at St. James Park. We've got a Chelsea in there. We've got, of course, a Bournemouth. We've got Everton next, and Everton is a hungry, a lion, a wounded lion, I would say, because of the 10-point deduction and the bans, whatever they are facing in the boardroom with the controller, with the man above, is tough on them. So such a team will come and play and fight. I was saying Carragher, like I would agree that saying that even if they have been docked 10 points, they will not be relegated. So they are going to be playing survival football. Now, a team, that's why towards the end of the season, the most difficult teams to face are the teams fighting relegation. So Everton now is already, as of their next game over the weekend, Everton will be fighting relegation. Right now, Everton is playing survival football. Every game they will play will be a survival game. Now, that is such a dangerous team to play. But if you are going to finish among the top 4, for me, how we deal with these games in December, from November, the few games we have in November and December, how we handle those as before we go into the AFCON, where Andre Onana will not be there, I think will be so important. in whether we'll be able to push for the top four like me and Paul Scholes think we actually can. An update on Andre Onana. His injury is not that serious. I think it was in the elbow or something, but it's not that serious. So he should be able, according to Fabrizio Romano, he will be available for our next games, a couple of games as Man United, the Everton game and all. So I think it was a precautionary measure for him to be pulled off so that it did not worsen the situation. That's a good thing to hear. But what's best to hear is that Paul Scholes believes we can finish among the top four. Who are we not to rally behind his belief and also start pushing the club in that direction? Hotspot, subscribe. My name is Webb. I will catch you later. I'll be back to tell you more about what, because he said some more important things that I'll be hinting on in just a bit.